back, folks. Nax Taters here, and today we're going to do another review videos of one of the games that I'm playing on the side. This one is called Arknights, something I've been kind of boasting about for quite a while to people. I think this is a great game. In fact, it's a great game that you probably should be downloading right now as we speak. But basically, this game is a tower defense game. It's also a gacha game, so you can see there are stars over your units, and you can get quite a bit of units in this game. In the beginning of the game, during the tutorial sessions, they give you a lot of units, mostly 2 stars, 3 stars, I think, maybe some 4 stars. And you can actually go and recruit to get some of these 6 stars. Now, before I move on, I must emphasize that if you look up this game on YouTube, there are tons of people out there that are creating content solely trying to beat the entire game using low rarity units like 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars. And there are plenty of materials out there where people actually have beaten the entire game using those low starred units. There is also a banner which you can summon right when you download the game, which are guaranteed, usually, I think, a 6 star. Actually, it's guaranteed a 5 star or higher. But actually, no, it is guaranteed a 6 star. All you have to do is just decide which 6 star you want. I went with this character. His name is Silver Ash. And he's a pretty good unit, but I find out I'm rarely using him now simply because, like I said, there are a little bit more to the game rather than simply just leveling up your 6 star units. In fact, that's probably actually a bad thing to do if you dumped all of your resources into your higher rarity units, because then you actually will be stuck. Because in this game itself, there's these things called deployment costs. Because it's a tower defense game, each unit have deployment costs under the tag here C. So therefore, it's actually crucial that you manage your deployment number, because in certain stages they limit you to how many units you can deploy in terms of restrictions on the deployment cost. So therefore, one of the best strategies actually in the beginning of the game, and actually you can do all the way to the end, is to level up your lower rarity units, because they will require less resources to get to the max level to do performance for you. So energy in this game is called sanity. You basically will go through different chapters. There are also dungeons. Unfortunately, I talked about in some of my reviews that they do the whole it opens up on certain days thing. However, the only thing that's open all the time is the experience books, which you use to level up your characters. Because when you actually go into combat, your characters do not increase in levels from combat. The only way you can increase their level is by using those books that you can farm. Like I said, those are available 24 hours a day. I just hope going forward in the future that most gacha games and companies that create them can really understand that it's much easier simply just to open up all dungeons every day, because that really gets people to want to play, right? In terms of leveling their characters, upgrading the characters as they see fit. But again, that's one of my pet peeves. You do have a store, you can buy things. They do have outfits in the game, but as far as I know, there's nothing going on right now, but there is no benefits to outfits other than looks. There's missions in terms of your daily requirement needs to get some items. Again, something I'm not a huge fan of, because it kind of tells you what to do. And then your weekly, and then of course campaign. As you beat the game, as you progress through the game, you can get more items. On the surface, this game looks really simple, but it's actually a very deep game. And I'm just gonna run a quick auto mode. So basically, after you defeat a game, it has one of those generic meet the 3-star system where you have to make sure you meet the criteria before you can auto deploy. And the good thing about this game is, once you beat the game, it records basically exactly the team you used, and then it just auto plays what you did to beat that stage. So I'm gonna have this run in the background while I talk a little bit more about this game. Basically, the game is using cutesy graphics, as you can see here, and it's very, very nice layout. You know, simple, uh, you know, very, very clean layout. So the blue is basically where your enemy will try to get to. If they get through it, you lose points here according to your little 5 number here, which is your total life, as you could say. The enemies will usually come out of these red things. In some stages like this one, they have these little stairways and whatnot, and they can try to sneak up on you. And then your goal is to make sure you defend your blue towers. This is the number of count of enemies. Right off the beginning of the game, they give you 2x speed. You can pause it whenever you want. And currently it's on auto, but I can take over anytime I want if I don't like it. Another good thing about this game is if you're getting overwhelmed and you're getting slaughtered in a new map, you can actually just quit out and they will refund your insanity. And I think that's a great concept. I think not many games do that, where they actually, you know, refund your insanity if you made a mistake. The game that I play, 7 Deadly Sins, on the side as well, like I make my mistake quite a bit where I just actually hit deploy, or, you know, attack or play the stage again, and sometimes I realize, wait a second, I don't need to play that stage anymore. Well, it's too bad, right? Once you hit that begin, that's it. You don't get anything back. But this game, even though, let's say you play halfway through the stage and decided you wanted to leave, they will still refund you parts of the insanity that you used. And I think that's great, right? But here's the bad thing. The bad thing is your insanity regens at a really, really slow rate. So luckily they do give you some insanity pots in which you can refill your sanity, I think by 100. And I think right now we have an event where they give you one once per day. And that's kind of neat in that sense, right? You have your summoning gems, which is these red symbols, and then you have these orange symbols, yellow symbols, I guess, which you use to either buy outfits and other items, or you can actually exchange the yellow for the actual red. The red is used to summon, as you can see. It's your summoning currency. And then the blue one is your money. It gives you the time, which is the server time. And then the other part of the game is there's a base that you must build, kind of like that game Fallout Shelter, right? You have this little base, and then you have a factory, you have power plant, you have trading posts, you have your dormitory and things like that. It's kind of like a mini game. I look at it like it's a mini game, right? You can improve on it. You can trade things with your friends. You can visit your friend's space. Overall, it's pretty neat. Like, it kind of makes you a little micromanage the base every day. I think if you check your base out 2 times a day, is more than enough. And I think that brings up to my final point. This game doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. And one thing it does not have is PvP, obviously, because it's very hard to play PvP in a tower defense game, right? So for me, that's a huge plus. As I stated in a lot of my games, I'm not really a huge fan of PvP and gacha games and mobile games in general. So unless it's, you know, obviously a straight out PvP game, like say a first person shooter like Fortnite or something like that. But for these type of RPG games, I always thought PvP is just like blah. There's no raid boss or anything, even though there are events going on, right? You know, they have extra events once a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. And they do actually have an extra mode in which you can earn more summoning materials by clearing out this stage where they send out like 400 soldiers and different units against you. And your goal is you must destroy them, as many as you can, obviously try to clear out 400, and then you get tons of these red gems. And then you can get 1,200 per week, so that's like, what, almost 5K a month. And a 10 shot in this game is 6,000. But there's different stages of this annihilation, as they call it. I believe there's 3 of them. One here, one here, one here. So you can get quite a good amount of gems. And sometimes they give you like currency and whatnot throughout the week, throughout the month. And of course, there's a sign-in system, which I believe you can look at. So here's your sign-in bonuses every day. Overall, it's a very simple game if you just kind of look at it from every angle. I really enjoy the game because it has really deep combat mechanics. As you saw in that autoplay, the whole goal is really obviously tower defense, but you can actually you can actually pull out your soldiers and you can redeploy those soldiers in different spots. So there's a lot of depth to this game. So I think I talked everything there's to talk about. Luckily, there's not much to really talk about other than that few things here and there, right? Obviously, the gacha system, but like I said, you can actually beat the game with lowered rarity units, management, your squad, and your they call them operators. They don't call them anything other than just operators, but I call everything units. And then of course you're collecting every day and in your base, and that's pretty much it. Depots with the materials you own. So very simple, very nice, sleek, and the music is really nice too. It's kind of like has this like post-apocalyptical techno, kind of cool soundtrack. I can't play it obviously because of probably copyright reasons, so I'm gonna avoid it. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get to the ratings. So I use the current system of 5 taters. 5 taters being, oh my gosh, you must get it. 1 tater, just avoid at all costs, right? I think I'm gonna give this game 4 taters. And for the majority of players out there. For me, I'll actually, for myself, personally, I feel like it's actually a 5 tater game because the biggest reason is because it doesn't have PvP. I don't ever have to think about PvP. I don't really care about PvP. It shouldn't really have PvP, and it doesn't. So I personally think it's a perfect game for me because I can come in and choose the amount of time I put into this game, and there's no such thing as being behind because you're not racing against anyone. So for me, I think it's the perfect type of game for me. But I think for other players in the rest of the world, it's a 4 out of 5. Simply because, one, it doesn't have a PvP element, which a lot of people look forward to. It's because if they're going to spend money in these type of games, they want to be able to show it off, right? I guess the best way to really show that off is perhaps beating their events, right? I think that makes the most sense. It's probably the only place really you can show them off. And I'm not very far into this game, but there are other chapters that later open up that have hard modes, which most likely you do have to actually start relying on your higher rarity units because the higher rarity units have different skill sets than the lower rarity units, therefore making them more powerful. There are tier lists, but overall, again, the tier list is somewhat debunked because you can actually defeat the entire game using lower rarity units. The only time you really want to use your higher rarity units is to really kind of, make your combat like splashy, right? Fun and more fireworks involved. And that's pretty much all it does, is kind of show off the amount of hard work you put in to make your higher tier units, higher rarity units usable. So overall, like I said, I highly recommend this game. You don't even have to play every hour because the sanity regen's very slow. So it's one of those games where it's really hard to consider this your quote-unquote main game because you will not be able to dump tons of hours into every day. You go in, you do a little bit of maintenance, obviously your dailies, and then of course you kind of do whatever you feel like doing for the rest of the day. And most of the time what I do is I log in twice a day. I do all my dailies on the first one, and then the next one I clean up. The first one I go and do all my dailies, try to burn as much sanity as I can, and then I clear out and do all the necessary work on my base. Second time I log in, I do the same thing. I do whatever I need to do for the base and then burn some sanity, and then I'm done for the day. I just love looking at the art and just enjoy. I just thoroughly enjoy combat. I actually don't play a whole lot of tower defense games, but I feel like this game redefined the genre, and that's why I think it's such a high quality game. So I strongly recommend it. You actually should be playing through the first ever tutorial by now because you should have downloaded it when I first started this video. But anyway, check it out for sure, and I'm going to be doing other reviews on other games, and hopefully as new games come out, I'm just going to do a quick review of those games that I feel like is either worthy play or maybe just a quick delete right after you download. And that's all going to be in the future on this channel as well. So until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your loved ones. Nash Taters out.